Hello, my name is Brittany Deigh. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello, and welcome back for another episode on the Addicted Household Recovery. So I'm popping on today to give you guys a little update in my sobriety journey. We are officially, oh my God, guys, I didn't even realize today is officially a month. I just went to go look at the date to see like where exactly we were at in the sobriety journey. Wow. Of course, I'm recording this episode a month on the day. God, spirit is so beautiful. This life is so magical. So it is exactly 1 month sober today. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm just like digesting that. I didn't realize that until I just hopped on. Oh. Wow. Yeah, it's been a month. I'll just say that. It's been quite a month. Yeah, I really was hopping on here to talk about my 3 a.m. wake ups. There's some other things that I'm gonna touch on as well, but something that I didn't necessarily realize was going to happen. I guess because I'm somebody that's been on my spiritual path and my like consciously healing myself journey for, really my first spiritual awakening was whenever I was 7, and then whenever I was 13, and then whenever I was 19 is whenever I started like consciously doing the work, and then whenever I was 25 is whenever I really blasted open, super connected with spirit, all of my senses fully online, and then I really started doing the work, like not just like consciously doing it when it was mirrored back to me through like a partner or a family member, but like going out of my way to go do inner child healing, to go get a Reiki session, to go, meditate, to go, I did that some in my 20s, but, or early 20s, I should say, but really like investing, hiring coaches, doing programs, really like putting in the work, like going to town on healing myself, not just when it arises in my life, but like to deal with all of the stuff in the past, just like go in, consciously go into the darkness in order to alchemize, instead of just dealing with it when it came up in life, if that makes sense. And so because I've been on this path for, so that started whenever I was 25, and I'm now going to be 30 in October. So the last 5 years, I've really been like investing in my healing, therapy, all those kinds of things. I thought that I had like dealt with a lot of this stuff. Gonna be totally honest. Thought that I had dealt with most of this. But it's just like this freaking infinite well, right? That just keeps coming. And I know that I'm going to be on the path of recovery and healing for the rest of my life, but sobriety really cracked open a whole nother, it was like, this is the best way, for some reason this visual is coming to me. This is the best way of describing it. Whenever I was 7, I was just getting in touch with the fact that there was a bag of, a luggage bag. I'm like, oh, there's a bag? And then whenever I was 19, it was like my friends or my family members or my partner would like toss the bag in my face and be like, no, this is your luggage. And then I'd be like, oh shit, this is my luggage. And then I would like hold it, and like I would hold my luggage instead of tossing it back at them. And then whenever I was 25, it was like I would pop open the bag of luggage and like take a piece of clothing out, but then I would like close it right back up and be like, okay, we're gonna like close that back up, but I'll take this shirt. I'll deal with this shirt right now. And sobriety feels like the clasps on the luggage have broken off. And the bag of luggage is wide open, and the clothes just keep pouring out everywhere. And it just keeps coming. And I'm like, I don't have the option of, there's nothing to close the bag back up and lock it sealed and say, I'm just going to deal with this shirt, pants, and this hat right now. Like I don't have anything to clasp the luggage closed again and put it back down. So it's just like, I'm just covered in a big pile of clothes. Oh my goodness, I do. I feel like I'm just like, there's a huge pile of clothes on top of me. And, as funny as that sounds, it also is really challenging. There's a lot of great things about sobriety, like how I'm really, my self-esteem and my confidence are really anchoring in. And I feel like more of my true soul essence than I have in a very, very long time. And, even those small things like driving around in your car and like a cop pulls up behind you and like you don't have all this anxiety anymore, like all of that anxiety, like that's crazy to think about. Even if I didn't have anything physically in my car, like they could pull me over and then like smell me or think that I'm stoned in my eyes. And then if, you get a drug test and I've smoked in the last 60 days, then like there's a DUI, whatever. So there's a lot of like little moments that it feels really, or like seeing someone else choose to numb themselves and I'm like not choosing that for myself anymore. I've really been like trying to navigate the judgment. I'm not trying to judge that person because I don't want to judge that part of myself that numbed. But it's like, oh, wow, like this is really cool to like walk around and like see all of these people, smoking cigarettes, drinking, smoking weed, e-cig. I mean, it's just like everywhere. And that's just substance abuse, right? And then there's like all the people that are on drugs and on pills and all these types of things. It's like to really be able to just observe it and then like hold my hand over my heart and be like, wow, Brittany, I'm really grateful that you're not choosing that for yourself anymore. I'm really grateful that you're choosing God in that moment instead of picking up the bowl, instead of picking up a bottle of wine. Instead, I return to God every moment. And like my relationship with Spirit is just deepening so massively. And, but I will say on an emotional and mental level, it is very strenuous, like very strenuous. Like I'm literally waking up every single night. And I also have not a newborn, but she's 7 months old now. So like she also intuitively wakes me up, if that makes sense. Like when she wakes up, I wake up and I don't even mean to, and I don't even know. Most of the time she just goes back to sleep. But if I check on the monitor, she's like probably like looking around and then like puts herself back to sleep. Or daddy has been going and taking care of her a lot for me, which is super sweet. But so I don't know if it's waking up because of her or if it's just I would be waking up in general. I'm not sure, but all I know is that every single night around 3 or 4 a.m., I wake up and I am like being poured memories and images and feelings and experiences. And I mean, it's just like all the clothes are like right on top of me and it's really heavy. And I will usually I try to surrender the best that I can, but I usually spend about, I want to say a half hour to an hour tossing and turning. And then finally I'll hit the breaking point where I just cry and cry and cry. And you can't force yourself to cry. I've tried to like force myself to just get to the crying stage faster so that way I can get back to sleep and like get some decent rest, for the next day. But you can't force yourself to cry. So I'm just like tossing and turning and I'll write down things. And because that's a lot of it is like, especially because we're like kind of, I hope we're going to be going to family therapy. A lot of this stuff I'm like trying to get down so that way I can communicate it to them. And so trying to remember it, if this helps you at all, trying to just remember it is not the move. I've noticed that when I just go ahead and write it down, which as I'm saying this, I think I'm going to just bring a notebook in my bed because I've been writing it down on my phone, and then the light like keeps me up, wakes you up more. So I think just like writing it down and getting it out, it's like repeating back in my brain because I don't want to forget it, if that makes sense. So that way I can communicate it. But then I'll go in these circles and toss and turn and toss and turn and toss and turn and like really honestly resist that even happened and that I even experienced that, and want to do the same thing I did before, right? Which is just like suppress it and put away and be like, no, we don't really have to talk about that. No, we don't really, like, that doesn't need to be meant, and all this resistance and resistance and resistance and resistance. And then finally I'll hit the breaking point, and then I'll lay there and I'll cry for a good 30 minutes to an hour. And then I'll wake up then, the next morning and be like, oh, good. Thank God I finally fell asleep, and I remember actually when I was telling my previous partner that I traveled with for a long time, I was telling her about how I was getting sober, and she said to me, now that I'm saying this out loud, it's very interesting. She said to me, when we were chatting about it, she was like, I'm really proud of you, this, that. And she was like, I remember whenever, we were living out in California, and you would like get up in the middle of the night and like you'd be tossing and turning, and then you would need to hit a bowl in order to go back to sleep. And I think I either shared that on a previous episode or it's in my life story, the long episode that I haven't shared yet. But I was talking about how like in the nights when my conscious mind would kind of subside and relax, all these subconscious thoughts and memories and experiences just come bubbling up out of me. And I used to just smoke and go back to sleep. So I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, oh, I'm just waking up in the middle of the night, and then I would hit a fat bowl and go right back to sleep. And now I don't have that. So I'm just like freaking tossing and turning and tossing and turning. And then finally freaking bawling my eyes out and crashing and going back to sleep. But it's been bitching. It's been for real bitching. I mean, there's really, really beautiful parts of sobriety, and I don't want to, undermine the clarity and the, energy level and the confidence and the self-esteem and the relationship with spirit and the clarity in myself and my relationships and what's really aligned for me and what's really not aligned for me. And there is so many beautiful aspects, but there is just so much pouring out of me that I'm really trying to do my best to not manage in the sense of it needs to be fixed or controlled or managed, because I don't need to be anything different than where I am in this now moment, but in the sense of not allowing it to take up too much space at one time, right? It's like you don't want to suppress it, but you also have to live your life and function in this reality still. Like I still got a baby that I got to show up for. I still got a partner that I got to show up for. I still got a job that I got to show up for. And I don't deserve to just wallow in the suffering that I experienced in my childhood, but that also doesn't mean that I push it down and push it away when it arises. So it's this discernment, this very intricate balance of addressing that which needs to be addressed, but also being present and enjoying life and still being playful and still being fun and still playing on the playground that's God's earth, the earth creation, this playground that we're on, and not just being in the suffering. It's this really intricate balance and interweavings, and it's been one of the most radical shifts I've ever done for myself in my life. And I'm really getting to know myself and what is aligned for me and what just doesn't work for me. And really like the level of humility that sobriety will offer you is fierce. That's a great word for it. Thank you, Spirit. Fierce. Like it is literally putting down all of that which keeps you distant and disconnected from Spirit, and the level of humility, but in the same breath, that humility actually somehow, and I'm in the process of figuring this out, guys, so maybe I'll come back on that episode of how the fuck does this work? But somehow in that deep humility rises this grand self-esteem and confidence, because you know that you're humble enough to put yourself to the side. And maybe I'm not wrong. And I know that I'm not perfect. I'm not broken, but I'm also not perfect. And it's like putting that which is keeping me from a disconnection to my highest self, to my most confident self, it actually humbling myself to those parts and allowing them to be integrated in a part of my being actually raises my self-esteem and my confidence and my clarity and my ability to connect with all things, not just spirit. So yeah, be easy on yourself. This choosing the sobriety journey is not the path. It's a fierce path. It's a very fierce path, especially in a world that literally capitalizes on you being numb and not being in connection with your higher power. It's like projected at you everywhere, and you become very aware of it because you're like, whoa, this is everywhere. All of society is just trying to get you to numb, dull. And to be standing in your light and standing in your power and standing in your humility and knowing that I'm not perfect, but I also don't need to dull myself because I'm not perfect, quoted. Those were air quotes there. So be easy on yourself. Know that this journey it's a journey of humility, but also confidence, humbling yourself and loving everyone around you, and really just be easy. Be easy with yourself. Be easy with your process. This is lifelong. There's no rush. And if I can do this, you can do this. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review. And if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.